now that we've learned about some of the key features of quadratics, we're going to start looking at how to solve quadratic equations. And there's a couple different methods that we're going to use. So the first method that I'm going to show you guys is how to solve quadratics by graphing. So this is going to revolve a great deal around your graphing calculator. So I want to make sure I show you the steps and the keys in order to be able to solve quadratic equations. So let's say I gave you this problem, and it said solve, and then here's your equation. X squared minus 10x plus 23 equals 7. To solve an equation like this, there's a couple different methods, and today we're going to look at how to use your graphing calculator. So I'm going to write down the steps in order to show you what you need to use in order to get to your graphing calculator. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to hit y equals. So the first step is press the y equals button. So on your calculators, that's located just below the screen, and it's right there in the top left. So that's y equals. So if you press y equals, you should see this screen. To get out of this screen, you just hit second, and then where it says mode, in blue it says quit, so that'll quit your screen. So y equals, and then second, quit, to get out of that screen. Alright, so once you're in y equals, you have these different graphs or equations that we can type in, and we're going to use the y1 and the y2 keys. So here's what we're going to do. After you press y equals, you're going to enter the left side of your equation into y1 and the right side of your equation into y2. So enter left side let me white that out so it's a little clearer. Enter left side into y1, enter right side into y2. So for our equation, we have x squared plus 10x, or minus 10x plus 23. So remember the x key is just right here, where my pen is pointing to in the bottom of the screen there. So I'm going to type in x squared minus 10x plus 23. So I'm just entering in the right side of the equation into y1. Hit the down button, and that takes you to y2. And I'm going to enter in the left side of the equation into, or excuse me, the right side of the equation into y2. So right now you should have your calculator out, and you should be doing these steps as well, so you can practice using the calculator. Alright, so after we've entered, our next step is going to be to press graph. So the graph button is to the right underneath the screen. So when we click graph, it'll give you the graph of your equation. So this is y equals 7. That's my second hand. And this is the quadratic. So we know what the quadratic looks like. So the solutions to these graphs are where these graphs are intersecting. That tells you the answer to these problems. So to find the solutions there's actually a pretty quick way to do it on your calculator. We're going to hit this button here where it says trace. So you're going to hit second, and then trace, and it'll give us a screen. So let me just write that down in our steps. So our next step after graphing is press second, then trace. So we'll take a look at what that looks like. Second, then trace. And we see these values for calculate. So press second, then trace. We get that screen. From there, you're going to enter number 5, and I'll show you in a second what that is. But it's going to give you the intersect. So looking back at my graph, I'm just going to hit the graph again really quick. There was my graph. I'm looking for the intersection of these 2 points to tell me the solution. So I hit second, trace. I'm going to go down to number 5 where it says intersect. So what you're going to look for is there's this little spider cursor. If you go left or right or up or down, you should be able to find it. But there's my little spider cursor. So I got to play around until I find it. You're going to move the cursor to the intersection point and press enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. When you do that, it's going to give you the intersection of those values. So it's going to tell you what solution gives you 7. So for here, it's x equals 2. So remember the steps again here were second, trace, intersect, number 5. And you just move that little spider blinking cursor near the intersection and press enter 3 times. And you get your solution. So we enter 5 intersect, move cursor to intersection, press enter 3 times. And then you have your answer. So that's using your graphing calculator to solve a quadratic equation. We do need to repeat this process. So you're going to repeat this process for the other intersection. So notice how there are 2 spots that are where the lines are intersecting. There's one over here on the left. We also have to figure out this one over on the right. So I have to hit second, trace, intersect again. And this time I'm going to move my cursor over to the right. So I'm going to keep shifting this cursor until it gets close to the intersection spot, as close as you can get it. It doesn't have to be perfect. So that's pretty close. And then you're going to enter 3 times again. And there's your other solution. X equals 8. So the 2 solutions for this equation that we worked on were x equals 2 and x equals 8. And that's solving a quadratic by graphing. So I'm going to write down some problems here for you to work on your own. I'd like you to try using the calculator, and then when you are finished, check with me to see if you got the correct answers for those ones. Alright, so your other problems are going to be, let's put examples here. Alright, so the first one is negative x squared plus 6x minus 4 equals negative 1. So I'd like you to do the same steps that we did above. This is your y1, this is y2, and you're going to follow these steps. And then your second problem to practice will be negative x squared minus 6x minus 5 equals 3. So I'd like you to try graphing both of those on your calculators and see if you can find the solutions where there are two solutions to those equations. So give that a shot. When you have the answers, call me over and I will check and let you know if you did that correct or not. Good luck.